Hi, and welcome to the Daily Pickup, the show where we ask the eternal questions: what is this crap? Why is it in my apartment? So today we're going to talk about something I really enjoy collecting, Harvard college class reunion directories. Sounds kind of weird. You see them at flea markets sometimes, thrift stores, bookstores occasionally. They're a little hard to find, not impossible. I've been collecting for a couple years, and I've come across a number of them. I've only picked up three, but it's a great three, and I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. So what these are essentially, I'm going to take one of the smaller ones just because it's easier to use on camera, is the Harvard College class of a certain year. With this book, it's the class of 1949, so whoever graduated in 1949. And however many years since they graduated, they all send pictures, which are then published. If they do send a picture with their yearbook photo, in this case, it's the 15th anniversary report, but the really interesting part of these, especially in the larger editions, is they all send these, sometimes a couple page long, sometimes a couple paragraphs, sometimes a couple sentences, descriptions of their lives at that point. And this is probably the best bathroom reader in my collection. These are the best bathroom readers in my collection. The three that I have, I'm going to say why. The first one is the very first one I ever found. I picked it up as a curiosity for $5 at a thrift store in Manhattan that no longer exists. They've been out of business for a couple of years now. They were on, I think, 39th Street and 9th Street. Anyway, I took a quick look through it. It looked very interesting. This one is much nicer print quality than most of the other ones I've seen. As the class years get later and later, the pictures go. I've found like 15th anniversary reports from the class of 1972 or something. And they... yeah, they're just kind of paperback stock. They got that nasty glue in the binding. Not very nice, and they were overpriced, so I didn't pick them up. This one, on the other hand, this is the class of 1948. This thing's like a phone book. 1948. It's the 25th anniversary report, so these people have been through some shit. And it has glossy print stock and these great before and after pictures of these people in 1948 and then them in the 1970s, and it's just glorious. There are a couple fairly famous people in this book. Robert Kennedy is in this book. He's obviously dead when the thing was published, so he doesn't submit an update for understandable reasons. The guy who killed an elephant with LSD, if you'd never heard about that, there's a lot of research done into LSD in the 1960s. Some of it well-intentioned, most of it very much not well-intentioned. And anyway, so one guy who was a graduate of Harvard College in 1948 decided it would be a good idea to see what happens when you give an elephant LSD. So he gave the elephant some LSD. It started freaking out, and they gave it a bunch of another drug. I forget what the other drug is, but whichever drug it was, the elephant had a heart attack. It's the only recorded fatal LSD use, and he does talk about it in the reunion book. I think I forget what his name is now, but in a future video, I think as I get a couple more of these, I like to do a couple videos. I used to take these on stage with me when I was doing I guess it started out as stand-up comedy, and then it kind of morphed into some kind of spoken word performance art. But This book is wonderful. You can flip to literally any page and find bizarre, just kind of like, I mean, the pictures are great. The, the actual stories are kind of this beautiful American boring pastoral kind of stuff. There's lots of like vague dissatisfaction in rowing clubs. Yeah, so here's an example of what the Harvard class of 1948 has to say. India is one of the most different foreign societies an American journalist can confront, and yet eminently accessible linguistically with English, still widely known and taught. English has been superimposed, of course, on a basic structure of 10 venerable English-Indian languages, and I was particularly struck by the problems of cultural and political identity resulting from this linguistic diversity. Much of the popular writing about developing countries during this period sought to explain everything in economic terms. My first book, India, The Most Dangerous Decades, Princeton, 1960, was an effort to challenge this simplistic approach. It was conceived and researched during a Neiman year, 1954 to 1955, back in Cambridge after leaving New Delhi, but the writing consumed a subsequent 6-month Rockefeller grant as well as extracurricular attention for 3 more years during my new work as associate editor and finally managing editor of the New Republic in Washington. And that was Selig, Seaton, Harrison. Here, let's go to just another random one. So this is Zenos McPherson Linnell. Like many of us who were pushed into false careers by military service during adolescence, I had time before graduation from Harvard to think introspectively and reach some coalescence that guided me into a life pursuit. Psychotherapy and psychoanalysis as a profession. The guidelines were then well established: medical school, internship, residency in psychiatry, personal psychoanalysis, and courses in psychoanalysis. I followed them, and they offered me a good framework in which to develop professionally, a nice balance of attainment and continued challenge. And meanwhile, my personal life was proceeding apace, marriage and 4 very nice children. Let's see. I could read this for hours. Okay, here's a dead guy. After receiving a master's degree at Columbia University, Lane Camper taught history for 4 years. He then went into business and owned an acoustical supply company in San Francisco for many years. He contributed much to his community, Marin County, and always held a volunteer civic job. His wife and 3 children survived him. So I'll do some more videos with that, I think, in the future, because it's just fascinating. The other 2 that I got as a lot on eBay, and these are 1949, and what's interesting about these is that it's the 15th and 20th year anniversary reports. So you get to hear from these people at a 5-year interval, and you can kind of track their lives in this weird kind of like Michael Apted 7-Up kind of way, which seems fine, because I'm pretty sure 90% of these people are dead. So it's not weird. But anyway. So let's see. Here's a short one. Very busy with general practice. Spare time is spent fishing and camping in Wyoming each August, and winter free time is spent skiing. Some of these, it's kind of, they just send a short resume, but other ones, it's a little more enticing. Here's an interesting one. I'm going to start in the middle because why not? There are new materials, new techniques, new designs, refractories that can survive unheard of temperatures, metals of unheard of purity, machined to unheard of tolerances. In my lab desk drawer, there is more pure hafnium metal than existed in the world in 1949, and more hafnium-free zirconium. and each day there is less and less place for the man with a 10th grade education and an IQ of 91 and no great driving ambition, and I'm afraid that there are a great many of these people. I live in a pretty green suburb," of course he does, "which was a farming community in 1949. I've built a 6-room colonial house on a 1/4-acre lot, and my wife and I are raising 3 boys, the oldest being 5. He's a bright boy, but I doubt whether he could identify a clothespin or really believes that I didn't have television when I was a boy." So that's the 15th anniversary report. Let's see what this guy was doing 5 years later. See if he sent in a thing. Let's see, and it seems to be in alphabetical order by name. So let's see. Yep, he sent a shorter one 5 years later, but scientific information and data have a definite half-life. At present, it is something like 5 years. At the end of 5 years, your careful tables of measurements are reduced to a single average and quoted by a colleague in his review of the literature before he offers data he considers much better. At the end of 10 years, you are both plotted on a graph. He is the open triangles, and you are the circles with a dot inside. The anthologist plots a curve through the center of the scatter of points, and lo, that curve is the truth. No one need ever look at your original paper again. Over most of the years since graduation, it has been my task as a humble laborer in the vineyard to supply the curve makers with dots. But now, in the maturity of my wisdom, I have found myself in a position to draw a few curves of my own. I have been absolutely ruthless. Yeah, so you can see this thing's just endless fun. Anyway, so that's this is what they look like. They got the little insignia on the front that says Veritas. They look kind of like the Harvard Grade Book editions. And they always just say, you know, Harvard class of whatever, 15th anniversary, or, you know, whichever anniversary report. So it's been the Daily Pickup, the show where we answer the eternal questions: what is this crap? Why is it in my apartment? And I'll see you later. If you like it, hit subscribe. And, you know, hit the thumbs up, or if you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. Who cares? Yeah, see you later.